The race to fill Senator Thom Tillis' seat is getting national attention. It's even being called a potential blockbuster race. There are several reasons for this, and I'm going to spell a few of them out here. One, because of the way that all the news went down. You know, the North Carolina Republican opposing President Trump's big tax and spending bill before then announcing that he wouldn't seek re-election. Two, because of how much is at stake for both parties. Keeping or flipping a Senate seat really is just the start. And three, because of some big nationally known names being floated to run for this seat, like former Governor Roy Cooper on the Democratic side, and on the Republican side, Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, and National Republican Party Chairman Michael Whatley. Republicans don't seem too upset that they're losing an incumbent candidate, which parties usually benefit from having. It seems Tillis was actually proving to be a bit of an Achilles heel for the party and for the chances of keeping that seat red. Now that he's moving out, Republicans are actually feeling good. And WRAL's Paul Spey has been doing some great reporting on this. You spoke with several Republican operatives. You've also seen some internal polling. What did that polling show?
Right. So Republicans in Washington did a bunch of polling on Tillis's chances against a couple of Democratic would-be opponents, such as Roy Cooper, who hasn't announced whether he'll run yet. He's considering a run. Yep. And Jeff Jackson, who's the current Attorney General, also hasn't said that he's going to jump in. He's just sort of seen as a rising star within the Democratic Party. These Republican groups polled Tillis against those Democrats and found that he would lose in a head-to-head matchup by somewhere between 9 and 13 percentage points. That is a huge red flag for Republicans. And when they did the same polling and put a generic, what they call a generic Republican up against those Democrats.
A relatively unknown.
Right, a relatively unknown. That person would have done better than Tillis did.
Wow. You know, when you talk about generic Republican, this kind of reminds me of 2022 when there was an open U.S. Senate seat here, when Republicans tapped the young Congressman Ted Budd to run for that seat. It worked out for them. You know, he was fairly unknown at the time beyond his district. What can we learn from that race?
Right. So that year, incumbent Richard Burr was a Republican, had been in office a long time, decided not to run again. So, like you said, it was an open seat. And there were a bunch of people who wanted to run. I mean, it's running for the Senate's a big deal, and Ted Budd was relatively unknown. Well, what he did was seek out President Trump's endorsement. Obviously, he's a kingmaker within the party. Yep. There was a competitive primary that year, but Budd essentially ran away with it once he got the support from Trump. We could see that again this year. We expect Lara Trump, Michael Whatley, the chairman of the Republican National Committee, to be considered for the nomination. But there are a number of other congressmen who would love to be Ted Budd this year. So we'll probably see this play out. We won't see it play out. It's going to happen behind the scenes with people jockeying to be Trump's favorite guy.
Yeah. You also obtained a memo from a Washington-based group that helps elect Republicans to the Senate. I want to show it here. It says that they are more confident than ever that the GOP will be able to keep the seat red. Why are they so confident? And also, I'm curious what Democrats are saying that you're talking to.
Well, for one thing, the NRSC in this memo, they want their donors to still pony up the money for this race because it's expected to be one of the closest in the country, if not the closest. But the other signal they're sending is that Republicans on the ground here in North Carolina are somewhat relieved. Tillis a long time ago sort of lost favor with the Republican base here. They even censured him back in 2023 over some of his votes. They worried that because of that, turnout next year would have been sort of tempered, that people wouldn't want to come out and vote for Tillis, and thus maybe there'd be fewer votes for people down the ballot. What they're saying now is, hey, if we get Trump's guy in here, more people are likely to come out. Now, Democrats, as you mentioned, they say, hold on a second. Like, Tillis is viewed even by Republicans as a moderate, and sometimes you need a moderate to win statewide in North Carolina. They say, once you get Trump's guy in there, we are going to be able to paint him as more of an extremist than even Tillis was. So they say, this is not better for you guys. This is better for us.
So Democrats are energized. They think that this could actually alienate some voters. All right.
For sure.
Paul, thank you so much for your reporting.